Welcome to Tash Talks Soul. Hi, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about the energy in which we show up in. I'm hoping this will be a really quick episode, but might also not be. I might just keep talking forever. We'll see what happens. I have found in my life how important it is to have your energy right. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Energy does not lie. And I mean, we can all sense it. We can all sense when you're talking to somebody. We can sense when they're being fake, when they're not being authentic. We can feel, even maybe not consciously, maybe you're sitting there across the table from somebody talking to them and you just can't quite put your finger on it, but something just feels off and you don't know what it is, but you're not comfortable, maybe low-key anxious, maybe just, something's not quite right. And other people get that same vibe off of us as well. If we're showing up in a funky energy, people can sense it. And I've really tried to apply this concept in my parenting with my children. So I have tried since first becoming a parent 6 years ago to always show up in authentic energy with my boys, with my children. If you're engaging with them, you're looking them in their eyes, you're talking to them, are your eyes sparkling? Are they engaged? Are you really seeing them? Or are you just kind of physically present, but energetically you're not? You don't have that sparkle. You're not engaged. You're not invested. I fully believe that children can feel this. The amount of times I'd be trying to put a baby to bed, and if my energy is I've got somewhere better to be, I am on edge, I am stressed, I should be doing the dishes, I need to clean up, I've got 4 loads of washing to put away, hurry up, fall asleep and let me go. That child will not sleep. I promise you, I will put money on it. That kid will take an hour to go to bed. They can feel it. Their nervous systems are so connected to ours, it's not funny. As soon as I have co-slept with all of my kids and I have breastfed all of my kids. So my 2 older boys I breastfed for 2 years each, and my third, he's almost 1 pretty much. Let's call him 1. He's still on the boob and he still falls asleep next to me. So I feed them to sleep and I lay with them. And that's just something that's worked really well for our family. And, I'm probably done having kids now, so once he is out in his own bed, that will be me signing off, done. But for now, that's just how we've always done things. And so if I lay down to sleep next to a baby that I want to go to sleep and I am with him, I am present, I'm looking in his eyes, I'm connecting, we're having a little chat, we're, some forehead kisses, cuddles, and in my energy, I am present. I am nowhere else. I'm engaged. My eyes have a sparkle in them. I'm there. I'm looking at you. I see you. And my mind is not off anywhere else. I've got nowhere else to be, nowhere better to be, nothing else that's weighing on me. If my energy is calm and settled and in a place of I could just fall asleep here, right now, and I'd be happy, that child will fall asleep in about 3 seconds. And I have noticed this consistently over 6 years, to the point where it's almost a hack. Where if I do have a list of chores as long as my arm to do waiting for me, but I have a kid that's refusing to sleep, if I can shift my energy into a place of, detach from my should-bes and my to-do list and just be present and ground my energy and center my energy to relax. The second, I kid you not, the second my energy does that, my child's breathing changes. It slows down. It's more relaxed. And before I know it, they're asleep. And I know our children are so connected to our nervous systems. And science has proven this. Our heartbeats regulate our children's heartbeats. Our temperature regulates our children's temperature. That was one of the reasons I started co-sleeping in the first place, was my first son. I'd wake up in the night and I'd feel him and he'd be freezing cold, and it didn't seem to matter what I did with sleeping bags and onesies and socks and, whatever it may be. I was just never satisfied with his temperature. And being a first-time mum, my anxiety was through the roof. I needed my baby to be okay. And so having him next to me, following, of course, all of the safe sleeping guidelines, I needed him next to me, because the amount of times I'd wake up in the night and feel his temperature and adjust accordingly, even just holding his little feet or holding his little hands and then feeling his body either warm up or cool down or whatever needed to happen in that moment, brought me so much relief. That was just, it just made sense for us to do. But anyway, the point is that our children are so connected to us, and they can sense when we are tense. We don't have to say anything. We don't have to even physically act it out. They know. Your children know so much more than you give them credit for. Children are so perceptive. They are so intuitive, and they are so wise. Really, we do not give children enough credit. Kids are onto it, and they're onto you, and they can sense your energy. They can smell it a mile away. Same as animals can as well, right? Put them in the same boat, the kids know, they can tell. And so with my children, that's been a really big lesson to me in what energy am I showing up in? And then what energy am I showing up in my friendships, in my relationships, in the world in general? Because I honestly believe that people can feel it. They can sense it. And you can kid yourself and you can think, oh, I feel really dysregulated and I'm not in a good place. But if I slap a smile on my face and I nod and ask a few questions, no one's going to know any better. People do. People can sense your energy. You don't even have to be in the same room with them. People can sense your energy. I honestly believe that we are all interconnected. And if you are even, thinking about a family member on the other side of the world, I honestly believe you can feel each other's energy. I had a situation where my grandpa was quite sick, and we all knew that he was dying, but he was dying over a span of about 5 years. So it was a very slow decline. And at the time I was living in an apartment by myself, and in a 2-bedroom apartment. And the second bedroom was a formal dining room, which I never used. And windows were shut, didn't really go in there. Not much happened in there unless I was having friends over and we'd cooked something delicious and we wanted to sit down and eat it properly. The door was always shut. And then one morning I needed to go in there for whatever reason, put something away. And I opened the door and I was hit with the strongest smell of my grandpa's study. And I picked up my phone and I messaged my grandma and I said, tell Grandpa I love him. I miss you guys. I hope everything's okay. And she replied saying, yeah, okay. Yeah, will do. Love you too, blah, blah, blah. And then, I didn't think anything of it beyond that point, but I knew that he was dying, that this was it. He was going. There was no way that smell could have gotten in there. The room sat untouched. Windows closed, doors closed. There was nowhere for a new smell to come from. And a few days later, I was sitting on my friend's couch and I got a phone call from my dad. And he said, I've got some news, your dedushka, your grandpa, he passed away. And in my head, I was like, yeah, I know, I felt it. And he'd actually passed away around a similar time that I smelt his study, and he actually passed away in his study. So, that's just one example of how energetically connected we are to people that are important to us. Even people that maybe aren't that important to us. I mean, I had a friend that I went to school with who I hadn't spoken to in 12 years, right? And I actually checked this because I found our old messages and it had been 12 years since we had spoken. He was just not on my radar at all. Didn't think about him, didn't cross my mind, nothing. And then out of nowhere, I just started dreaming about him almost every night. And at first he was in the background of my dreams, and then he'd have conversations, and they were very philosophical conversations around life and the meaning of life and the universe, and what he wished he had done in his life differently, and very bizarre, right? And chronic, repetitive. And they were starting to wig me out a little bit. And then there was one dream where I heard hospital beeping noises, and I thought, oh my gosh, is he in hospital? Has he died? Is this why I'm dreaming of him? This is so bizarre. What the heck? And I started checking obituaries, looking for his name and not finding him, and then thinking, what if I knew he liked to travel, so maybe he had died overseas somewhere, and how would I check that? And I just thought, okay, I trust the universe. That information will come to me eventually. But at the same time, I couldn't feel him in the spirit realm either. So he was I didn't necessarily feel that he was dead. But anyway, I digress. About a year later, I did message him at the time saying, hey, really random, but I'm having dreams about you and it's all bizarre, and I hope you haven't died and that everything's okay, but okay, bye. And about a year later, I get a message from him saying, hey, yeah, random, but no, I'm okay, everything's okay. And then we were talking, and around the time that I was having these dreams, he was actually in hospital because he had an accident. And that was so bizarre. And he's like, I'm not saying I ESP'd you, but that's really random. And that's another example of just energy, how we just pick up on people's energy, how we're all connected. And I can't say that he was a close person to me in my life. It was just really random that I picked up on this energy. But having said that, I do randomly pick up on people's energy, people that have crossed over. So I think it's just sometimes being open to it and being receptive to it. We can read it. But energy does not lie. It is there. People can sense it. People can feel you. And that's why sometimes somebody can appear to be super duper charismatic, but deep down you feel, no, something's off. And trust your gut, because your intuition always has your best intentions at heart. Your intuition and your subconscious mind, none of those want to see you fail. Your mind does not want you to be crazy. Your intuition does not want you to be crazy. Your intuition's job is to protect itself. And if you want kind of a disturbing analogy, as the host for this organism, it doesn't want to lose the host. Your mind's primary objective is to keep you alive. It doesn't want to lose the thing that's keeping it alive. It wants to keep you well and safe. And so it's doing that. So when you get intuitive hits, or your gut tells you to do something or not to do something, you need to listen to it, because it's got your best intentions at heart. Our brain is so capable of processing huge amounts of information. Information that comes in as input but doesn't necessarily make it into your conscious awareness, because it's just pointless and your brain tries to conserve energy where it can. So at any given moment right now, you're listening to me talk, you can hear me, you can probably, if you're eating something, you can taste it. If there's a smell around you, you can smell it. But what about the temperature of the air on your right arm? What about how much pressure is being applied to your leg right now? What about how heavily the gravity is pulling on you? What about, what growth cycle your hair follicle on your left eyebrow is at? Just an enormous amount of information is hitting your brain at any given point in time. And your brain can sometimes pick things up way before it even hits your radar in your conscious mind. You might read a microfacial expression on someone's face, and that registers, and it gives you a sense of unease, somebody's body language, somebody's tone, and you pick up on that, but your conscious mind maybe doesn't. Gavin Gavin DeBecker, The Gift of Fear, is a good book that talks about this, about your intuition keeping you safe in a physical sense. But trust your intuition, trust your gut, trust the read that you get on people, because energy does not lie. And I think that we really need to give it more credit. I think in this day and age, we kind of scoff at it and go, oh, that's silly, or that's not real, or that's woo-woo, and people just don't give it the weight or the importance that it deserves. And I'd really love to shift that. I'd really love us to step into trusting ourselves and trusting our intuition and trusting our gut and trusting our energy readings that we pick up on people, and also at the same time being conscious of the energy that we're putting out ourselves. How are you showing up? How are you presenting yourself to the world? Where can you clean that up a little bit? Are you coming at things with a funky, kind of messed up, off-kilter energy? And why is that? Do you need to ground yourself? Do you need to recenter, recalibrate? Sort yourself out. I've got a really good grounding meditation that I can link in the show notes, recorded by me. So if you're sick of my voice, don't download it. But I find that as a quick check-in for myself, if I can feel myself starting to kind of get a bit razzed up energetically and a bit off kilter, I do this meditation pretty much anywhere. You can do. I've done it on a plane before. I've done it driving. I've done it on public transport. I've done it in a big multi-story building. It works anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're on the move. It just helps to recenter yourself, calm your energy down, and I guess try and be present with the people around you. Try and show up for them and give them your purest energy with your best intentions and your best love, and try to do things from that place. It's not always possible, because look, we're all adults, we all have obligations, most of us probably have jobs and kids and chores and things that need to get done. And I know I've said before that I'm a go with the flow, whatever, I can't be consistent. Yes, this is true from a creative perspective, but at the end of the day, I'm an adult with 3 kids and a list as long as my arm of things to do. So I have to function, and I just have to suck it up and do it. Sometimes people say, oh, that doesn't bring me joy. Well, what does bring you joy? Does having grown adult kids that you have a wonderful relationship with bring you joy? That's the big picture. That's what you're going for. So if the big picture vision brings you joy, then you're going to have to suck it up and accept the smaller parts, puzzle pieces of that big picture vision that maybe you don't enjoy doing, but you're going to have to, because without them, you can't have the end result. So show up in the best energy that you can. Give your best to people. Come at it from a place of being engaged, being authentic, and don't force your energy either. People can feel that. How yucky is it when you can feel that somebody's really squeezing everything out of themselves to try and be there for you? It's like, I don't want that. I don't want that energy. I don't want this kind of fake disinterested kind of energy, or even when people are depleted and they're trying to be there for you and it comes across almost manic, almost this really forced, super positive, trying really hard kind of energy, but you can feel that it's not coming from an abundant, overflowing place. And is that how you want to come across to people in your life? I mean, I'm a big fan of not forcing your energy. So even when I'm talking about this stuff, this podcast, for example, I don't record unless I'm in a place of overflowing abundance. I have this excessive energy that I just want to get out and give it with love and give it with beautiful intentions, and I want the best. Whoever hears this, I hope you just receive it in the most positive, loving, high vibe way possible. This is my dream, and I'm never going to force that. I'm not going to sit down and record when it's not flowing and I don't want to do it, and I'm doing it from this place of I have to. I think that comes across. I think you guys would pick up on that if I'm in a place of not voluntarily overflowing and bubbling over with, channeling whatever I'm channeling and my energy and my enthusiasm and my passion for what I'm talking about. I think we pick up on that with people. I really do think that. And I think that when we force it, I don't think that's healthy for us either, because what is that saying to you? That's saying to you that maybe you're a little bit burnt out. Maybe you need to take care of yourself, take care of your energy, recenter, look after yourself, and then you can't pour from an empty cup, right? Even with Reiki, when I'm working on people, I mean, Reiki is maybe not the best example because you're plugging into source, and that beautiful energy flows through you in the first instance, and then it flows out to the person that you're working with. So you are also being replenished in that process. So it's not necessarily draining, but when I do Reiki on people, it's usually not just Reiki. Often I get spirits coming through. I get other insights, other kind of downloads that happen at the same time, and that's all part of the service, the spiritual experience. It's not just the energetic fine-tuning, it's also additional information. And sometimes if I'm in a really depleted place, that takes a lot for me. It doesn't come, sometimes it comes really easily. But when I'm looking to connect with spirits, sometimes when that feels a bit forced, I can find that a bit draining, and then that tires me. And I feel like that's a little bit additional drain on my energy to undertake that versus just pure Reiki. Maybe I haven't quite mastered the whole energetics of it yet. I'm still learning, but I do find that I have to be in a place of overflow where I'm just so buzzing and I'm so lit up in my life that I have all this abundance and overflow of energy to just give to other people. And I want to give that because that's what lights me up. That's what lights my soul up. I love tapping into other people's energy and working with them and seeing things shift for them, seeing those energies shift, removing blockages, seeing them light up and have aha moments and connect to the divine, connect to source, and just seeing their eyes sparkle at the realization of the possibility of what's available to them, getting to know and taste that connection to source, sometimes for the first time in their lives. And it's so magical. Oh my God, there is nothing better. Well, there's a lot of wonderful things in this life, but that is up there for me. And it's beautiful. And I feel like when I'm not in a place to do it, just don't force it, is what I'm trying to say. And when you're working with people's energy, like in a practice like Reiki, I know it's thrown around all the time. It's bandied around a lot. We're all different. All walks of life, blah, blah, blah. And intellectually, we all know this, right? But on an actual embodied level, do we? I never truly got this until I started doing Reiki on people and on lots of different types of people. Because once you plug into other people's energy, it hits you like, wow, we really are different. It's just wild to think that people function differently to us. We just assume that the way we are, that's how everybody else is. It's hard to explain unless you've actually felt it in your body. But if I were to explain it in an intellectual way, for example, scientists are saying that whatever percentage of the world don't have a narration in their head. So if you're somebody that thinks in words, not everybody does. And if you're somebody that can easily visualize, if I say visualize your dream house, and you can start visualizing something in your mind's eye, not everybody can do that. Some people cannot visualize to save their lives. Their brains just cannot. Some people visualize when they set a vision for themselves and they're trying to, think about their dream house. The way they see their house is through smells. What does their dream house smell like? Or what does their dream house feel like texture-wise? for me personally, the smells and the texture isn't the first place my mind goes. I'm a very visual person, and for me, using my third eye for visualizing and for meditation and on shamanic journeys and with the work that I do through Reiki, and a lot of the downloads and messages I get are visual in form, amongst other things, but the visual muscle is the strongest for me. For a long time, it felt like my third eye was like being drunk and wearing the wrong prescription glasses. It physically hurt and everything was blurry and nothing made sense, and it was very confusing. But with time, that muscle became stronger and the quality of the visions that I would get became higher. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that we are all different and the way that we process information is different. I was talking to a friend just the other day, and the way that she sees angel numbers is actually in her dreams, in her sleep. Whereas I see angel numbers physically with my eyes out in the world. But how special that she gets the download tailored to her into her brain. So when she wakes up, she can look up that particular number frequency and receive a tailored message to what she's going through. And that has served her quite well in her life. I just find that fascinating because I have never experienced it that way. And how cool that the information that we have access to comes in all these different formats depending on who we are as individuals. But I digress. In Reiki, I have worked on people. Some people's energy spins really fast. Some people's energy spins really slow. Some people, they have certain maybe things happening in their bodies, and the way that that comes across and reads to me is fascinating. I was reading my friend the other day and she had brain fog, and, her time of the month was coming up, and that the way that felt and read to me was very interesting. And so I'm kind of building a catalogue in my head, and maybe I'll do an episode on that, of what various things feel like in other people's energy. But sometimes people that you think would spin really fast actually spin really slow, and it's really amazing to just have access to people like that and to see just how different we all are. And I think that trains a bit more compassion and a bit more understanding and a bit more love for ourselves and for each other, and that we can say, oh, we're all unique, we're all different as much as we like, but we actually are. Honestly, no two people are the same, and it's so special. But the message I'm trying to hit home is that be mindful of the energy that you show up in. Don't think that you're fooling people, because you're not fooling anybody. Even if people can't put words to it or process it consciously, they can feel it energetically. We're all energetic beings. We can all read energy, and just pay attention to yours and clean it up if you need to. Focus on being high vibe and keep an eye out on the people in your life. And if you're a parent, keep an eye on how you're showing up for your kids, because they remember that, and it's so important. If you can't show up for your kids as the best version of yourself, or you're not trying to, I think that's a really noble goal to set yourself. So something to think about. Have a great day. See you guys. Bye.